heartfelt conversations can change the world. Here's the Epic Kate podcast.
And I think that this world has to be born out of the creative womb of the woman energy right now. Look what's happening.
Hello and welcome, Diane, back to the Epic Kate podcast. It's been so long since we talked.
Hey, thank you for having me again. Thank you for having me again, Kate. It's so wonderful to be seen and heard by your listeners. And we're going to talk about some real good stuff today. I'm excited when you wrote me and just reminded me that you wanted to hear about my spiritual journey. So much is connected in what's going on in our world today that's leading us down paths and around the corners and everything from what we really know to be true. And I said to a friend last night that, okay, you want to ask me a question first? You want me to?
Oh, no, I'm happy to hear your train of thought.
Oh, well, I got something from a friend. It was 7 points so that you won't be depressed and what you needed to do to pull yourself out of your doldrums or your pit or whatever you call it. And one thing was the first thing, I should have had those 7 things in front of me right now, but the one thing was get out in the light. You know, when you're in darkness and just a dark room or you have to get the light or you start to, now in your country, it's like light for a long time and then dark for a long time. How do you deal with it?
Well, in the summer, it can be kind of hard getting kids to bed when it's still light out. You kind of I'm just trying to teach myself to just accept what is and not be like, oh, summer good, light good, dark bad. But I'm just trying to fix my mentality to be like, the weather is weather, it is what it is, and trying to prepare myself for those long gray seasons that it's like, I'm going to try to find the beauty in it.
Ooh, find the beauty in it. I like that. I'm searching for this thing that I found. I don't want to drag us along here. I keep forgetting whether it comes on Instagram or whatever. That's one thing. Stay off this social media sometime. But okay, I'm gonna find this because it was really quite good.
Here are the 7 habits.
7 habits that can damage your brain. Number 1, staying in the dark too much. Just like plants, you need sunlight. Your brain needs light to work properly. If you stay too much in the dark, you may feel grumpy and harder to think clearly. I thought, and then another 2, consuming too much negative news. Watching too much sad or scary news unknowingly fills your brain with lots of foreboding. And that one, it just went off because I'm going to stop right there for a minute. Ever since 2015 or 2016, and you guys know in our country, we had a presidential election. And you're supposed to separate the politics from everything, but see, it all plays into one another again. And when you're not kind and when you're saying bad words, and you know who I'm talking about, because I'll just come on out and say it. Is it okay if I come on out and say it? We've been given permission from the guy who was formerly the president, twice disgraced and many 4th time indicted now, ex-president of our country, he actually said on TV cuss words and things that people were shocked. You know, when you get this shock TV or shock radio or anything that that gets your attention. And then here he is with all this money. And, all of us, we got to get to a place where we understand what is real richness. Many think that, well, he has to be right. A lot of our hip hop guys did this. Well, hey, that you got to do the Trump thing. You got to, admiring somebody just because they have a lot of money. And power and money kind of go together, but sometimes power is not always with the people who have the money. So now you get into showbiz and rock and roll. When I say rock and roll, I'm not just talking about the music. It's those people who have that personality, that charisma, or whatever it is that makes them go. Look, you remember Tiny Tim? This was a guy with long hair. And he used to sing tiptoe through the tulips, and he was just absolutely horrible. And he was kind of like, a male, but he was kind of feminine because he had the long hair, and he was singing with this soprano falsetto type thing, with a little ukulele, singing tiptoe through the tulips, and everybody went, "Wow, what is that?" And it's anytime you have that, "Wow, what is that?" that you've never seen it done, people get interested. And and you get any kind of power machine behind it. In those days, it was Johnny Carson used to have him on his show all the time. So you get that exposure, and then people start coming into it. Now you gotta go beyond being the one trick pony after a while. But when it comes to people like that have all this property, you stop being grateful for what you have, and you want to live vicariously through people who have a lot, who have more than enough. And for somehow, especially when we begin to tie this into the prosperity religious sector of some churches that begin to be the prosperity movement, like if you're struggling, then you're not. If you're broke, then something's not right with you. You got to get right with God. In fact,
you got to get right with God, and you got to send us your last $20 because
send us that $20. You got to move in faith. If you don't have faith, and send me that money, I'm going to show you that if you send me that $20, I'm going to give you this prayer cloth, and everything's going to change for you. I think maybe the trick with it is that for 1 minute, people have faith that things can change. They just don't know that it's not that you have to go through anybody else to get it. It's right there with you, and we forget. I mean,
I kind of want to rewind a bit, because I feel all this passion and all these things just bubbling out, and I totally see this connection, because it's been this awakening across especially across America, but I feel like it must go way out. The ripples go way out of like so many people just realizing what is going on with the people that call themselves followers of Jesus. Like, what's going on? So I would love to go way, way back to you. Like, where did your spiritual journey start? Like, what shaped that?
Well, what shaped that was my mother was down south, and my mother went to a mission school, and she wanted to. I mean, she was very devout Catholic, And now her sisters and brothers, except for one brother, my mother was the youngest girl, and her brother Carl, the one that became the first Black quarterback for UCLA in the early 60s. They went to visit St. Augustine. That was a mission school in Memphis at the time. The missions were down there, like if you see Yellowstone, or have you seen any of those TV movies, Yellowstone, 1923, and how the missionaries came to the West and the South and everything, like they do, but did. And there were some good things, and there was a lot of bad things. But my mother went to a Catholic school, and she went for all 12 years at the Catholic school, like I did. So, it has to start with my mom because my dad went to public school. And I mean, he just couldn't even fathom voting for Kennedy because he was Catholic. And so he voted for Nixon. I do it anyway. So, but and then afterwards, he ended up liking Kennedy very much. But so it started with my mother, and she wanted to be. She saw the altar boys up there, and she wanted to do that. She wanted to be up there in the little, altar boy outfits and do the whole thing. And they said she couldn't because she was a girl. So now we get where my mother's spiritual journey goes through a thing. I'll tell you what she told me. I started playing piano, and then Sister Mary Evangelist wanted to train me to play in the Mass. And my mother said, when you are in the Mass and you're playing, you become very close to the priest, and you're right there. And, so it was always something of high respect. And when I say devout, it's like that piousness where, you look at the pictures, there he is, that we have been told that that's what Jesus looked like, and that's what Mary looked like, and that's what the angels look like.
Jesus had the whitest skin and the
brown side out,
blue eyes.
Yeah, I have one. Somebody sent me something from the UK of a guy praying in the church, and then he's praying, Jesus, I really need a miracle. And then Jesus appears, and he's got like dreadlocks and everything. And he goes, who are you? He goes, well, you call my name, so I'm here. I'm Jesus. He went, no, you're not Jesus. He went, oh, so what did you expect? Did you expect to see that guy? So it shows a stained glass window with Max von Sydow in it. Well, no, I mean, somebody that looks like that. And he goes, well, yeah. He said, well, tough shit. I don't look like that. I'm here. So anyway, I'll have to send that to you. But yeah, you have these visions of what heaven and all the angels and everybody looks like, and really you've got to find those angels in that heaven, and God speaks to you, and he looks like you, and he acts like you, and he there's some people he does not act like that, but anyway,
Sorry.
It's coming out. He's in here. And so my mother got to that realization pretty early on, especially being down south, because her question was, Lord, I look at my people down here, because she had the mixed race and all of that. So if you had one drop, you went to the black schools, and so the Catholic school had a bunch of kids that looked like they're from everywhere in the world. But when she saw the difference in the way the women were treated, the girls couldn't do this. The girls had to clean the altar, but they couldn't be an altar boy, girl, which is different now because now they do this. And I'm sure that happens in the Anglican Church and everything else. But then when she saw the treatment of Black people in Memphis in her time, real time, and I remember sitting on the floor watching TV, because Captain Kangaroo had gone off already, so now we watch the news, and I'm seeing dogs being sicked on people and water hoses. And in my time, I saw this. And we would just sit there and go, oh, we didn't say what's going on. I mean, it was like, look at that. And then you couldn't go and sit in a restaurant, and then there was the colored fountain, and then there was the white fountain, and the white fountain had ice cold water, especially down south, And the colored water had regular dry, it wasn't cold. And so we used to go into TG&Y, which was a 10-cent store. And we used to go, let's go drink out of the other fountain, So, and half the time when they looked at us, they didn't know whether they didn't even think we were black or white. They just figured we were, because I mean, look, I look like this. So, but we knew. And so we would be with our cousins and our friends. And so it was like a big thing to just go in there and wait until the cash register person turned around, and they'd run and drink in the water fountain. But then there was an actress named Dorothy Dandridge, who I heard a story that when she was in Hollywood, and I think she was at one of the hotels, the Beverly Hills Hotel or something, and she went down to the pool and she put her foot in the water, and somebody got so upset and they told everybody to get away from the pool, and they drained the entire pool because she put her foot in the water. So when my mother began, now this is nothing to what my mother saw as she was growing up and what her parents saw. So she began to look at all of this and try to understand how her church, the Catholic Church, was going to deal with all of this. Now, the civil rights movement hadn't locked in real tight in her time yet, but it was coming. You can only take so much, So I remember in my time looking at TV and seeing, when everybody got together and went all over the country, the Freedom Riders went all over the country, and they were mixed, and they sat at the soda bars, and got things poured on their head. They were trained to deal with that. So getting back to the spiritual thing, it's amazing that you can keep your faith. And when I say faith, just your belief in something that doesn't desert you, that you don't become mad at God or mad at the higher power that has made this earth. That it's like, this is life, and we are in this earth, this world, but we're in it, but we don't have to be of it. We have to deal with our minds and the way we look at things. And you said it perfectly. You do things in your country when it's dark. You change the picture of dealing. How did you say that again?
I try to look for the beauty in it. Like I'm a transplant to Sweden, so I haven't had to deal with the dark, long winters as long as other people have. But looking for the beauty, trying to not call it bad because it's just weather. It's just the lack of sun.
It's beyond anything that anybody control.
Yeah.
It's nature. It's God. And he has many names and many different religions and non-religions that we respect. Now, looking at the beauty in what was going on during the civil rights and all of that, I guess the darkness was on everybody. And see, it's not only on the victims, the darkness is on the people who perpetrate it. And I've seen, looking back and looking at some of the pictures in history of when, and I forgot her name right now, the little girl that they had to escort. This.
Are you talking about Ruby Bridges?
Yes, Ruby. So I'm sorry. See, I should know better, right? But and she had to be escorted as people around her were caught on camera. For history, we can look at some of those pictures, and they were spitting and they were saying names, and their faces are caught. Just what spirit was in them at that point, makes for fear, hatred, all these ugly things. And what really upsets me is when you see you kind of, in those days, the women just some of the women today, when I see on like TikTok, and they call them Karens here, and they can do and say some of the worst things. I've seen depictions of things that were going on in slavery that I've never seen depicted that way in the United States, and it makes it very clear. It makes it very real what people are feeling and thinking, and the people caught in those pictures see themselves later, and many of them, I saw one of a lady going to Ruby and saying, I was one of the people in that crowd. And she says that I want to apologize, I mean, it happens. Can you imagine seeing yourself years later and now things have changed so much and you go, that's me. And this is the way America and all the people who do inhumane things, if you're caught on a camera, you're going to see yourself.
I think that's a really beautiful example of finding beauty in it. Like, that is so much beauty in that humility and in that asking for forgiveness.
Yeah, I wish, and it's all going to come back around too, because this stuff happening here now, it's like the Kraken has been released. Oh my God.
Oh, it's just such a whirlwind of feelings and thoughts about it. So your mom realized at an early age, like, no, what is the church going to do? Like, where are we going from here?
And it was always an unrest with her about that, but she still was a Catholic until later on, and she kind of left the church. But she, look, I look at it like this. For me, I went to 12 years Catholic school. I'm born, baptized, confirmed, the whole thing. I know what it is to be a Catholic. I know the good part and the beauty of my faith when I did it. And then I didn't go to church for a long time. And, Kenny is not Catholic, my husband, for all of you who don't know. And so I couldn't get him in a church. I mean, it's like, and at that time, I was doing Sergeant Pepper and all that stuff. I wasn't going to church, I mean, people would come up and knock on the door and say, oh, there's a new thing happening in church. Thank you. I've done it. But then when it was time for us to get married, it was like, I'm not just going to a justice of the peace. We're going to have to do something here. So we had our regular, in fact, at that time, we went to Science of Mind Church, which was positive thinking. And that's it. It had some good stuff. I'm telling you, all the, your outlook and how it starts with you and how you can be the change you want to see and all that good stuff. It all comes from truth and the word. But see, when you take that Bible and start turning it on its head and using it to hurt people, done. I want positive, loving, and it doesn't mean you're a candy ass because you want peace. We're in this world. We're always going to have some kind of conflict. Listen, the chaos is waiting right there. What I was taught was, don't bring the chaos in your house. If you're full of all of that, deal with it and leave it on the doorstep, even on the doorstep of your own psyche. If you can't actually, leave it outside and be about peace. Don't go to sleep go to bed and be mad at everybody. You got to figure things out before you hit the hay, or you're not going to sleep well anyway. And if you want to pick it up, you want to pick up your baggage, then when you leave the next day, pick it up and go about your way and deal with it until you decide to ask for help. And there's nothing out but crying out. And I'll tell you, you got to cry out sometimes because you can't do it. People, the most beautiful thing is to have relationship with family. And sometimes family just don't do it. They just won't do it. There's people in your family that love you and respect you. There's people in your family, they've always had an issue with you. Either it was jealousy or it was siblings who never got over sibling stuff. I mean, and you think you got over it, and then and I'll tell you right now, you parents out there, you people my age, if you got something you want to give your kids, give it to them now. Because if you've got kids who are fighting in front of your face now over that's mine, and then you give it, then figure it out, give it to them, clean out your house, let them take it, and because then they're going to be fighting about it afterwards. And then they won't have each other over. Mom told me that I was supposed to have that thimble over there. It'll be that stupid. It'll be those. I want that. Those feathers in the pillow are mine.
Oh my goodness.
And you think I'm kidding? I have this last. It's been 23 years since my mom passed, and trying to do some nice things for her memory is something that I'm going to have to carry, because as soon as I start including people in the family, some, not all of them. I got people who are dying anything you need, but then it's always the grabbing starts, and it's like, it's exhausting. It's exhausting. And when 216 came, and I'm just going to say, when Trump came in, and I said to my friend yesterday, I think we're depressed in America. This guy, he unleashed what a lot of people thought, but you're not supposed to tell everybody every single thought you have. Who wants to hear all of that? We got our own thoughts.
Yeah.
Things we have to deal with. And then you come out and these thoughts ruminate, and then you say things like all these frogs start jumping out of your mouth. And it's like, really, did you really have to say that? And some people feel like they just have to say the N-word, and they have to say, I'm supreme. And see, it's like this. My mother taught me this too. Lions don't have to roar. Okay?
It's like a double-edged awakening of the people that already had so much bitterness and evil and hatred and racism and homophobic and transphobic and la. They were emboldened to spew all that out. And then other people who gave their entire lives to their faith were suddenly like, whoa, woken up, like, what have I been doing with my life? If this is what it is, I don't want to be a part of it anymore.
Yeah, but you got some of those evangelicals, and I used to listen to a lot of them too. I rather, when they started on TV, I remember my mom sitting in bed. Now she became a minister, even though she was still on radio, and I remember sitting there, and she's saying, how do these people get all these people to show up and get all this money? What are they doing? How are they doing this? And then, but it was like, there are a lot of evangelists from the past that did do this. Frank, Graham, what's his
Billy
name?
Graham.
Billy Graham. But and then Benny Hinn with the healing, and then there was another guy that we kind of laugh about sometimes, but he used to lay hands on him and he go, you'll be able to hear now, say, repeat after me, baby, and he go, baby, oh, he can hear. Well, there's a lot of shysterhood in that stuff too, but and there's no but about it. There's been movies about some of those, but then let's come to present day. I almost can't listen to some evangelists, especially if they have a Southern accent. After what I've seen with Tammy Faye and the PTN Club and some of those people I would try to listen to, and then when they got behind Trump, I just went, how can you get behind someone who has shown you. He says he's has faith and that he's a good Christian. And then you said, well, what is your favorite verse? He can't even quote you a verse or read it right. Why? If you hold everybody up in your congregation to a standard of knowing all these things, and it's okay for him not to know any of it, I don't get it.
I wish that there was just like a database to see like if there's somebody that you respected or a musician that you admired and appreciated their music, like are they a Trumper? Enter their name and see where they stand. Like
I can still love some people who are Trumpers,
of
like my neighbor,
course.
because we have to be civil.
Yeah.
We have, and we were civil and loved each other before. It does cause you to give pause, but I think as Trump kind of went through his things and then he was out, we just to be around each other, we love each other more than talking about it. I won't bring it up because I'm just kind of waiting. It's like when your kids are kind of going through issues and you're waiting for them to grow out of it. Even though my friends are older people, I'm just kind of waiting for them to pop out of it, to wake up. And uh, and then there are those, and I don't really, I don't know how they think. Some of them I know how they think, so we don't discuss it. But and we don't go out as much as we did. But everybody's doing other things. They got grandkids now, and that's a positive thing. And I love their kids. But then there are the people, and I don't have to tell you because you see them. You see the Karens all the time, and they just have to. They just can't not do it. Name calling. Where see, as soon as I see that big red hat with "Make America Great Again," I just go, well, I don't know. I think we've been great all along. What's your problem? And the first thing Trump did when he got on here, he says, America has been a disaster. That's one of his favorite words. No, what about you're a disaster?
Has it
Hey, okay.
giving you hugs.
No, I tell you, it's like I had a neighbor of mine say in 16, and I got breast cancer, and I remember prior to finding out that I had breast cancer, I was sitting in that chair and I was watching, and look, we were all just sitting, and we couldn't believe what he was saying. Mexicans, they're rapists. They're this, they're that. Mexico is going to pay for the wall and all this crazy stuff, And it's like we were like and like frozen, and watching every day. And I began to worry. I haven't gone outside for like we're going on the third day, watching what this guy is saying. Then I had my breast exam and they said, yeah, I had to come back. So they needed to take a biopsy. And then I just, okay, so I dealt with that. I mean, I'm fine now. I'm a breast cancer survivor. But my neighbor said to me, Donald Trump, he's so wonderful. He's so this. And I said, I can't. This guy is nuts. What's with you? And then she says, you know what your problem is? You got that cancer because you hate him so much. And I went, you know what? You asked me a question and I answered it. And so I got, is that what you think? I says, look, I don't have to talk to you about any of this. In fact, I have friends, I don't need this. And we didn't talk for a real long time. And there's other things, but I just thought, did I get cancer because, and then, but I did say to her, I said, I don't hate him because I don't know him. I hate what I see. I hate what it's doing to my family. I got a relative that got the sign and gets with a flatbed truck and goes in a Trump parade. I won't tell you which railroad. And it's broken up families. And then when they go, Trump is making America great again. No, he isn't. Because if I go to any other country, I don't know where you're getting your information. You travel more then.
Can I ask if it's not relevant, then you can just ignore it. But do you see similarities between the spirit of what the 60s was to what's going on now?
It's starting up again. Yeah. John Lewis, before he passed, he was holding the fort for that. And I think once DeSantis got on here with his craziness from Florida, my friends in Florida are going, I can't wait to get out of here. Do you know about DeSantis, the governor, who you can't teach Black history?
Oh no, it's too traumatizing to the white kids.
Listen, you got to know. I don't have to tell you this, or anybody that's got half a brain. If you don't know your history, you don't know what's out there getting ready to happen. And when you see people like, remember Jim Jones talking about a religious thing? He preyed on these people and they went to New Guinea, I think, and he had them drink Kool-Aid and the whole bit. Remember that group? So they say here, when they deal with Trumpers, they say, you must have drank the Kool-Aid. Well, what they mean, they mean that they will give their lives for this guy who would never give his life for them. In fact, if they do something because he told us to come on January 6th and take back our country. First of all, he didn't walk with you. He told you to go down there. He went up and watched it on TV for a long time, didn't ask for any help to save those people who did die. The policemen, and they were beating people with the flag and everything. Most of those people have now gotten arrested, and there's a lot more to come. But they kept thinking, Donald Trump is a billionaire. He's going to rescue us. If we go to jail, then he's going to bail us out. They're still sitting there. And they're going to be sitting there for a long time. Well, if he gets back in, he's going to pardon all of us. Now, if we want to talk about my faith right now, the Lord knows what she is doing. We have a prayer. When you start the prayer, you go, our Father, our Mother, our everything, God. I mean, we know why it's a patriarchal thing, but it is Mother Nature too. And it's like, our Mother, our Father, our everything. You are everything. See, that's my mother started that at her church. She went, no, we're not going to go, our Father. I mean, we'll say that, but it's our Father, our Mother. I think she started with our Mother, our Father, our everything, God. We stand before you today and we ask forgiveness for the things so we can have a clean heart when we come to you, just like we do when we're going to get married. If you're marrying somebody and you've been a scoundrel and you're getting ready to walk down an aisle and you didn't tell them everything you've done like 2 seconds before it's going to haunt you, and you're cursing your marriage. You're cursing right when you think your children and everyone's going to be blessed and you couldn't be honest, it's coming around the bend. You don't know when, but it's coming. So just get straight before you do anything that is supposed to have integrity and grace, especially if you love that person. I say the same thing about our country and our world. There's the indigenous people, the Native Americans in here, and and the indigenous people in Canada and all over the world, they know if they haven't had much, they deal with Mother Nature. She has to be honored and protected and loved. And talking about there's no climate change, really? I got my faith that that our mother, our father, our everything, God, our Mother Nature, everything is going to show us and show up and let us know what we need to do. And that is when we come together. All that chaos during the 60s made people come together and fight for one cause. And I think we're at that point again. And I think that this world has to be born out of the creative womb of the woman energy right now. Look what's happening. Bonnie Willis is not going to sit back and not do her job. There's a lot of other women who are taking the reins, and we have it. We have it, and we know. And why do we know? Because we have that, and we want to protect our children. And we want to protect, we want them to breathe easy or breathe better, or protect them from not being able to breathe and live and have their being and love who they want to love without me being in your bedroom telling you what you're supposed to do. Like, get out of here already. And the guys that want to do it and make all these laws, you know, if you tell them to give up their Viagra, they'll fall down and have a heart attack. But then they want you, I mean, they're actually getting to the point where they want to tell you about birth control. I'm sure they'll probably tell the Catholics they could never do rhythm again. And they got no rhythm. Feet have got no rhythm. Okay. So they, meaning those other people. But
It's just it's such a battle in the mind, isn't it? Like, it reminds me of the conversation that I had with another friend of yours, John Butcher, of you feel so passionately all of the burdens, but to choose where your peace is, to be able to leave some things behind so they don't weigh you down and cause you pain and just bring more and more darkness into your mind every day, every waking moment.
Sometimes you don't even know you have the pain. Because, see, you know, I remember putting my headphones on because I love Lawrence O'Donnell on MSNBC. There's a few people that I like the sound of their voice, and that the fact that they are they're truthful, not as I perceive it, because I do my homework and I talk to a lot of people. I need people of integrity. But then I started listening to some networks where it's just too much, and I've had my headphones going to sleep, and I was listening to that, and then I wake up and you don't even know that now your body is reacting a certain way. You don't even notice until I was driving the other day, and I had noticed, because, you know, I'm an equal opportunity keyboardist for anybody that is, I don't care, synagogue, Catholic Church, the UCC, you know, if you need somebody that, because it's all the good music, the music coming in with good messages, you know. So I'm riding around, and all of a sudden, I know I have allergies, but I'm just crying. I'm not boo-hooing. I'm just, the tears, I'm going, whoa, they're coming, you know, and I just went, and it was like, I must have rode around in the car for like 2 hours, just going up and down downtown. And then sometimes when I'm at the churches and I finish and I sit there at the keyboard and everybody's left, just want to sit, because people have come with their, sometimes people don't go to church, but if they're coming for lots of reasons. They're crying out because they need help, or they're just there because they're to do their praise, or they're there to just they're grateful for everything they've been given. And I just have to sit with that sometimes. You have to be quiet. So we have a mission here, and like there's lots of missions all over California, over throughout the United States, actually. But we have a mission here, and to go there, because it also has the church, and then it has a museum, so you can go and see how the priest lived, and the way they had the tools and how they cooked and everything. That was closed. But sometimes I just go and sit in the garden. Just sit, go somewhere and just sit somewhere beautiful. Somewhere where the wind is blowing. And you don't have to have anything on your mind, but just being. And you have to go for that refreshing. And then with that refreshing, it's kind of like a healing balm will come over you. And so it's up to you to pick those places. And sometimes, many times you're going to have to be alone to do that. And I can't say that I had a big, long cry yesterday. I mean, I just had to turn the TV off. I don't want to listen to any progress. Just give me a day. I mean, I can start fresh tomorrow if I want to listen to it again. But it's like, I'm going to do this. When I phrase something, I will say, for example, if I don't want this tyranny anymore. Well, my mother taught me the universe is not hearing not. It will hear the positive. So it'll take the not out of it, and then what will happen is I want to hear or see this tyranny more, So I will say, I want tyranny to end. I want the power of justice and fair play and kindness to rule. I want strength of conviction with that, and with the heart for the people. I want a heart for the people with the ear that can hear. I want the ear that can hear, that can have the body and the mind and the mouth to speak positive in the world and do something about it. So that's what's been going on with me.
That's beautiful. It really resonates. It goes to a conversation and a wonderful person. I know John, his channel is called John of New, and fascinating guy. Like he was the biggest doubter of reincarnation you've ever met. And then he had so many confirmations that he actually has experienced. He had a regression. He experienced being John the disciple, being with Jesus. Like when he had his regression, he was there, like in present time with Jesus. And he talks about the I am statement of like, I am bold, I am free, I am peaceful, and to really claim that and live in that. He talks about that a lot on his channel.
And then my mom, she for her organization, they would go, I am, which I am is what God is supposed to be. I am definite and positive. I am constructive and productive. I am loved, beloved, and thankful. Therefore, I have wonderful experiences. I have wonderful, oh my God, see, beautiful experiences, happiness. And so, it's like constantly putting up the I am and starting out the day with that. Some people call it making it affirmations. Other people say starting with a prayer to just define what you would like your day to be and kind of get in front of what is waiting for you that you left outside the door. The lions, all the temptations, everything is out there. Whether it's, am I going to be on my diet again? As you can see, I need to do that. But whatever it is out there that you have to deal with, get in front of it.
Mm-hmm. My brain went back to the thing that you said earlier, that it's not just the people who are having pain, but the oppressors that have pain. And it makes me think about this thing that I read, that the DNA, the trauma that's inherited in the DNA, like so much
Talking about a generational curse.
But like there's scientific proof of the genetic of that. And it's like, when we're talking to the people who are Trumpers and they are worshiping him and they are worried to death about America losing everything if gay people get married, we're talking to a programming. We're talking to their generational trauma and the guilt that they feel from being the slave owners. Like,
well, they didn't,
they didn't, but they inherited that trauma.
Yeah, they inherited it. And there's things that are still going on where there have been mass graves of people who were doing well, Black people who were doing well. I just saw something, I need to write this down when I see it on PBS and KCET. But, and then they put a parking lot over it and nobody really discovered it until later. It happened in a lot of, I can't remember the place, but
was it like Black Wall Street?
That was one of them. This is another one I saw on PBS the other day. And so all this land was taken and then they bulldozed it. And then the white cemetery that still had a Confederate monument in it and people had a fresh flag in there, and they had that. And they made it so that the traffic would go around it, and they preserved this white cemetery with the Confederate people, and all these other people were buried in houses and other things were built on top of them. And you know how they can send a drone up and they do that type of radar thing where they can see under the ground, like archaeologists do, and that's what they did. And they saw, and they started digging and they found bones and people buried with their jewelry on and stuff. And so they just put everything respectfully back together and left it in an area because they have to do DNA. I mean, they don't even know who these people, who their descendants are, or they were the ancestors. They don't know who their descendants are yet. So it's a lot going on and it needs to be repaired, but once they start talking about reparations, they just want to just get something for nothing. Well, no, that's not it. It's not it. Things need to be acknowledged and repaired to the best of your ability to do so. And we all have the ability. And you were talking about forgiveness when we started. It's like when we were told this about forgiveness when I finally got Kenny to go to a church. It's like we had a problem in our marriage and we went, look, we're going to have to go somewhere. it's either going to be a self-help place or a church. And we went to an area. Our counselor sent us to an area, and it ended up being, we heard the music downstairs. We were supposed to go to this other place, and we went, I think they want us to go to the one with this music downstairs. And we went down there, and I was going to tell you something about, out of what was a bad situation, we went to a place where I learned some wonderful things. We did it together and we did it separately. And the one thing that the pastor of that church said, when you ask for forgiveness, you go to that person if it is safe to do so. You don't go, I mean, look, if it's not safe, write them a letter. If they're dead, write them a letter, burn it, go to the graveside, or however you want to let it go up in smoke. But at least you ask for forgiveness. But when you ask, or when you're going to ask somebody for forgiveness, like if I say, Kate, please forgive me. And you said, what am I forgiving you for? Because I stole that beautiful blue hat that you were wearing and that we had in an interview. And you were looking for it for 3 weeks. And I mean, it's like, tell people, if you're going to ask forgiveness from me, tell me, what am I forgiving you for? I'll forgive you for anything. But if you come to me, you want to talk about it. And it's good to be specific. I had somebody write me, dear, and my mother had, because I believe in God, please forgive me for any unkind word or thought or deed that I may have knowingly or unknowingly committed against you. And so if it's not safe to send it to someone, or they're gone, or you found out where they lived and you never see them and you want to send it, you write that note. But then they came up with the form for that. But the one I got was dear, and then it was like fill in the blank. And my thing was like, of course I forgive you. I didn't answer the letter. I forgive them, God, it's all forgiven. It's hard to forget, but I would really like that person to just, if they want to be and love me, let's talk about what happened and let them, I remember when that happened, that hurt me very much, and I want to be forgiven for that, I'm not going to hit you over the head with a skillet for what you did, but at least we can talk about it. Now, if it's real forgiveness, you won't say, that's not the way it went. You're going to you come in a humble spirit. And you ask for forgiveness. And then if you can do it, make a repair. So I would find your hat and bring it back to you, or bring you back your hat and a better one. So that's my take on it anyway.
It makes me think, I was an actor for many, many years, traveling around doing plays, and one of the most amazing lines of a play was in a children's play. It was little kids, little rabbits having a conflict. But the line of the play was, a wrong hangs in the air until it is forgiven. And like, ooh.
And forgiveness is supposed to free the one asking. So let's get on the other side. If I don't accept your forgiveness, then I would think the other person would say, what can I do to make this right? And that's the way I think with all the countries that have been inhumane to people. If you don't make it right, and if you believe in karma, if you don't make it right, the universe is going to set it right. It'd be better that you be obedient to the law of truth and righteousness, not righteousness like, oh, my religion is better than yours. No, we're not talking any of that. We're talking that if you're somewhere and you need a drink of water, whoever it comes from that gives you that drink of water, you're not going to be having a discussion about what religion they are you?
Yeah. You're not going to be worrying about how legal a person is before you give them basic human rights.
Yeah, but now I'm reminded of something I remember too. I remember down south, there was we had black ambulances and white ambulances that went to different hospitals. So I remember there was a story about a man who did not want to go to the hospital in a black ambulance. Then I remember another one where a blood transfusion from a black person at an accident, and the guy didn't want the black blood and he died. So it's like this kind of stuff is like what causes people to, like in California yesterday, I forget, Apton, a woman, a businesswoman, she was 61 years old, decided she was going to put a gay pride flag on her business just to let people know that everyone was welcome. And another guy got upset about it and went and killed her. And then the police went and he was taking a stand and killed him yesterday. It's the things that we will die for out of being right. Look, even if you have a fight with your husband, you can say, do you want to fight? Do you want to win, or do you want to be in love? You want dinner? No, I'm sorry, I'm getting silly now.
No, but I totally see the connection there. That is the whole crux of it. Do we want to be right?
Do you want to be right, or do you want to die just to be right about something stupid?
Yeah. But it's just like how you're waiting for these loved ones to wake up. It's like, how do we let go of that anger and bitterness about how wrong people are and figure out how to forgive that and how to be a part of making the world peaceful and loving and open?
Why is it so important that I have to be just like you, or I have to die, or you have to be so much like me and then right straight down the line with everything I believe, or you have to cease to exist? This is contrived to make people, somebody is trying to get you to do something to clear the way for their own selfish reasons or their own insanity that's steeped in so much fear and so much. The hatred is coming out of fear of loss. Even if they have the money, everybody that has the money does not feel that they're a real man or a real woman. It's always something that they're lacking in their spirit, that they cannot bless you to be who you are and mind their own business and bless you on your way.
That's
the only
it.
time the only time you should intervene is if you see someone whose life is in jeopardy, and if you can do that and intercess either by putting yourself in the middle of it to stop something. Some people just don't have the courage, but they got a bunch of words and they don't use them beautifully. They don't write a song, or they don't give us something that we can hear or learn from for years to come. They want to do something right now to show you how how bad they are, how strong, and how, it's like,
I love what you just said there about take what you're going through and turn it into a song. That's
yeah,
awesome. That's
your
awesome.
life and turn it into whether you, in the song could be figuratively. It's like, it, just take these hands and do some pottery, do something to keep yourself from being with your idle hands and your idle thoughts. Somebody says something that appeals to your baser instincts. If you enjoy that for a moment, because I'm telling you, this is just for a season.
Mm,
The rest is for forever.
yeah.
Because you know how some things were good in the old days and now they're bad, or they were bad in the old days and now they're good? I forgot that. It's like a paradigm shift. Things happen like that. So if it is not, uh, if you're not helping someone learn something, or just be kind, because you can be a great person in the simplest way of just giving someone some water, whether it's watering their knowledge or watering their body or watering their spiritual thirst. It's like, do something that is meaningful because it heals your soul. And the best way to dig yourself out of depression is to do something if you can. I mean, I'm not saying there's some people that are so clinically depressed and they just don't know how. So God has to send somebody to them or just change something. But if you're like I was the other day, you just be quiet for a moment and then go sit in the garden.
Mm,
Just go sit in the garden.
yeah. It's like after you've absorbed so much of the darkness and the heaviness, you got to just let it out through nature, through just
Sit in the garden.
photosynthesizing it. I don't know. I'm not a science person.
Oh, we're flowers.
Yeah.
We're water.
Well, this has just been such a beautiful, beautiful time. I'm really thankful that that it could come to where we are now. Of just like it feels more hopeful. It feels lighter, do you have any like last positive just encouragement or thought to end it with?
Just that we all go through hard times, and that doesn't it means something when you're going through it. You feel like you're in a hole and that water is coming in the hole, but you can't get out. But you will. And just don't lose the light. Just close your eyes, take a breath, and just believe that it's going to work out. And if you got to cry, drive around downtown, pull over on the side, cry your eyes out, and go get a smoothie.
Yeah. Cry responsibly. Get something sweet.
Get something sweet, and then call somebody that you like talking to, and then hopefully you both don't go in a pit together, but just call somebody, and just somebody that you haven't talked to in a long time, and go, hi, what you been up to? And then maybe it'll break it. It might break that day, and it might take a few days. So I'm here with you now, and I'm lifted up and encouraged. And Kate, thank you for having me do this. And I know I'm gonna sound like a maniac on my rant, but so what?
No, I was gonna say, I for what it's worth, I really think that your mom is proud of you, so proud of you, and these nuggets of wisdom that are coming out of your mouth.
Yeah, no, and I don't want to prolong this too much longer, but you go through those times where I've gone through those times where I go, have I failed? Did I did I not be everything I was supposed to be? And why aren't you doing this? And why aren't you doing that? And did you go and figure out what the cemetery plot to pick yet? And, did you buy one? I think it's kind of natural that you go through that. So, like I said, if you feel bad, be quiet for a moment and call somebody. Cry out. And
Yeah.
just somebody will be there for you.
Mm-hmm. Well, I just want to give you a big old hug. And
You.
someday I hope to meet you in real life and get a real one. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe.
I should know by now when the sun goes down, the earth's gonna